Captains Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, of course, had no inkling in 1804 what their Corps of Discovery activities along the Missouri River would uncover or set in motion. For example, the Indian Wars of the 19th century, mass immigration of settlers, expanding entrepreneurial exploits of trapping and trading operations out of St. Louis and alongside the river. Steamboats hauling surveyors, military, mountain men, and miners into the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. The Pony Express and stagecoach taxi runs. Rutted roads creased and gutted by wagon trains and cannons, horses, and grave markers. While wintering in North Dakota, Lewis, in his written reports to Jefferson, repeated his earlier disaffection with the Tetons, Sioux, or Lakota, the, quote, vilest miscreant savages of the human race, suggesting they could be brought into line after a few years of government meddling. As clearly outlined in our review of the Sioux history above, he was wildly wrong on that score. The Dakotans, including the predominant Lakota Sioux bands, alternately welcomed and warily gazed on Tom Jefferson's 40-plus men in boats that found a place to park for the 1804-05 winter in central North Dakota. The expedition crew constructed rough but sufficient headquarters to wait out the brutal cold, recorded by Clark at one time at 40 degrees below zero, that the Dakota prairies usually are known for. Mandan, Hidatsa, or Big Bellies, the Gros Ventre, or Minitares, and the Arikara Indians, plus some Assiniboine and French trappers hanging about, posed no apparent threat. Their fears were more attuned to possible abuse from Lakota warriors. The Discovery men endured suitably well, but marveled how the Indians coped even better within the stark landscape and cold conditions through December, January, and February. Still, at one point Lewis was called on to cut off the toes of one Indian boy who had been lost in extremely cold weather, with only a buffalo robe to cover and protect his thinly clad body. Lewis's own men suffered severe frostbite injuries that needed treatment. According to one steamboat crew member later on, I quote, "We were about where the city of Bismarck is now located and where Lewis and Clark wintered with the Mandan. It was a cold, disagreeable day. The boat tied up. We walked to the top of the adjoining bluffs to take a look at the surrounding country. It was one vast, boundless plain, extending in every direction, the want of all animal life. Its silence and utter desolation were all oppressive. A companion remarked, 'Look at the ice floating in the river.' I tell you right now, fellows, we are in a hell of a fix." Fort Mandan, located near the Knife River confluence with the Missouri River, is east of the Missouri-Yellowstone confluence in today's eastern Montana. The exact location of their makeshift fort is unknown, but approximately 14 miles west of Washburn, McLean County, North Dakota. The Corps stayed until April 7, 1805. While there, they prepared for the final western leg of the journey and set aside records and specimens that would be shipped back downstream on the keelboat in the spring. The 2 pirogues and 6 new canoes hewn from cottonwoods would haul the expedition from here to the Rockies. With Sacagawea in tow, there was already anticipation that Shoshone ponies and horses would complete the transfer of men and supplies over those mountains. It was the last week of October 1804 when the Corps of Discovery floated into the realm of their winter destination. On October 29, the captains visited the chief of the Big Bellies, the Hidatsa, who said his son were out fighting the Snake Indians, or Shoshone, in the Rocky Mountains. As usual, councils were held and medals distributed. Clark gave a chief $1 of the American coin as a medal, with which he was much pleased. He also got a certificate of his sincerity and good conduct, etc. That day, a prairie fire erupted, bringing near tragedy to the entire village. At least one man and woman died. Several others were burned, and many escaped the conflagration only narrowly. This fire passed our camp last night about 8 o'clock p.m. It went with great rapidity and looked tremendous, Clark wrote. November introduced steadily colder weather. Clark repeatedly suffered from bouts of rheumatism. Captain Lewis spent a lot of time indoors writing reports intended to be conveyed to President Jefferson in the spring. While geese were flying south, Clark, staring at the sky with others on the night of November 6, watched a northern light which was light but not red, and appeared to darken and sometimes nearly obscured and open. Many times appears in light streaks. On November 19, the Discovery Party moved into their partially completed huts, and hunters delivered an enormous supply of deer, elk, and buffalo, which got hung in the smokehouse. Often it was so cold that the sentinels had to be relieved every hour.